Good morning, fellas, and welcome back to Me Plays Games. My name is Matt, and Pokemon is an absolutely massive franchise. So as you might expect, it's got its fair share of nonsense. So today I'm going to talk about a bunch of things in Pokemon that don't make any sense. Alright, let's get started. Some Pokemon lose the ability to learn certain moves upon evolving. Fuecoco and Crocalor can learn the move Yawn, but Skeledirge can't. So if you want to use a Yawn Skeledirge, you have to make sure to teach it before it fully evolves. Similarly, Swalot can't learn Pain Split, but Gulpin can. But Shedinja can learn all the moves its pre-evolution Incada can. Does this even count as a pre-evolution? Whatever.
What do you mean, whatever? You messed up?
No, whatever's in the script.
Oh, it's in this.
No, that was all. As you probably know, Shedinja's got the ability Wonder Guard, which makes it immune to any move that isn't super effective. That'd be an absolutely broken ability on its own, so it's balanced out by the fact that it only has 1 HP. You can never have a Shedinja with any more health than that, which means if Shedinja takes any damage whatsoever, it's a guaranteed one-shot, and that makes a bunch of moves completely worthless. One move Shedinja can learn is Substitute. The user sacrifices a quarter of its max health to make a Substitute doll, which takes damage in its place. If Shedinja uses this move, it'll always fail. That's because if it worked, it would just instantly knock it out, because it would lose the 1 HP it's got. In Generation 3, Shedinja can also learn Double Edge. It's a 120 power move that does recoil damage when it hits. Since Shedinja faints upon taking any damage whatsoever, it's probably not the best idea to use this move. Other Pokemon can learn moves that make them faint in exchange for doing huge damage, but Double Edge is way weaker than Self-Destruct and Explosion, so Double Edge Shedinja is probably not worth it. Another move that knocks Shedinja out instantly but it can learn anyway is Sandstorm. During a Sandstorm, every Pokemon that's not Ground, Rock, or Steel type takes chip damage at the end of each turn. And you know what Pokemon is none of those types? So unless you have Shedinja wear safety goggles, Sandstorm will also effectively one-shot itself. And if you want to set up Sand, you've got way better options. Just get yourself a Tyranitar or a Hippowdon or something, a Pokemon that sets up Sand with its ability. Using moves to activate the weather isn't that great an option. Rest is another move that will always fail if Shedinja uses it. The user goes to sleep and fully heals itself, but it only works if you're at less than full health. Since Shedinja is always either at full health or dead, it's impossible for it to fall asleep with rest. On a related note, Shedinja can also learn Sleep Talk, which calls a random move you know, but only if you're asleep. This is also borderline useless, because you would have to rely on somebody else putting Shedinja to sleep. Another useless move it can learn is Harden. It raises Shedinja's defense by 1 stage, which reduces the damage it takes from physical moves from 1 to 1. Moves will always do at least 1 damage, meaning defense moves are completely worthless on Shedinja. Since there are already moves that Pokemon lose access to upon evolving, I think it would make sense if these moves were removed from Shedinja's standard learn set. Hey, Editor Matt here, quick addendum, there was one move I forgot to talk about in my script. Final Gambit, it kills you in exchange for doing your current HP's worth of damage. Shedinja has 1 HP. It'll only ever do 1 damage. Don't use Final Gambit Shedinja. Next, let's take a look at the Ghost type. Ghost Pokemon are immune to normal and fighting moves, and on the flip side, normal type Pokemon are immune to ghost moves, which is all well and good. If I tried to punch a ghost, you'd probably expect my fist to go right through it. So you can't hit it with stuff like Body Slam, Close Combat, Drain Punch, any of that jazz. So if normal and fighting moves don't work on ghosts, why do flying type moves work? Typically flying moves are just, you know, normal moves, but from the sky. In modern games, the flying move Peck and the normal move Horn Attack have nearly the same description, and a couple of Pokemon learn both of these moves, like Goldeen, Piloswine, and Carablast. So you mean to tell me one of these moves will hit a ghost, but the other one won't, even though they use the same horn for both moves? Alright then, go off. This is something that does make sense from a balance and game design perspective, but not so much from a logical one. If ghost types were immune to normal, fighting, and flying, they'd have even more chances to switch into battle. And what about Pokemon like Decidueye and Annihilate? They would have a weakness turned into a 3rd immunity. But like, flying moves are essentially normal moves deluxe, so if you were making a logical game rather than a fun one, it makes sense to make ghosts immune to flying moves too. For more nonsense, subscribe to Me Plays Games, and also check out my game show channel, My Prize Garage, link in the description. Right now, I'm working on a series of guides for The Price is Right, so I'd recommend watching them if you want to be on the show. Some TMs can be taught to almost any Pokemon in the game, and for the most part, the list of universal TMs makes sense. Whenever Double Team and Protector TMs, they're universal, which checks out. It makes perfect sense that most Pokemon would be able to dodge attacks, or protect themselves from them. Return gets stronger depending on your Pokemon's friendship stat, and on the flip side, Frustration gets stronger the more your Pokemon hates you. Those moves also check out. Attract is also a logical move, and so are Hidden Power and Terra Blast. Rest is also a universal TM in every generation, which makes sense, every Pokemon needs sleep. Similarly, Sleep Talk is universal in most of the games as well. But one universal TM never made sense to me. From Gens 1 through 7, nearly every Pokemon in the game can learn Toxic, a move that badly poisons the target. Most Pokemon have no connections to poison whatsoever, except for this move. The only status condition that every Pokemon had access to was the one that does the most damage. You mean to tell me all these random birds can learn Toxic? And a sword? And freaking Pichu? These next two moves aren't universal, but way too many Pokemon can learn them. Rain Dance and Sunny Day are moves that change the weather, and they can each be learned by over 700 Pokemon. Why is Teddiursa able to summon the sun and rain at will? There are even some Fire-type Pokemon that can learn Rain Dance, which makes it quite possibly the worst move you can teach them. All it does is power down their stab moves, and makes them take even more damage from the water moves they're already weak to. Heatmore, Delphox, Pyroar, all of them can learn this Kick Me sign of a move. And that's not even the most ridiculous part. Game Freak is going out of their way to give even more fire types access to Rain Dance. Talonflame, Volcarona, Houndoom, and Camerupt all gained access to Rain Dance for the first time in Gen 9. In Camerupt's case specifically, that turns a 4x weakness into a 6x weakness, since it's also ground type. And on the flip side, a bunch of water types can learn Sunny Day as well. Ludicolo, Corsola, Surskit, Wishcash, and Babarrel can all summon the sun. That's not quite as bad as a fire type with Rain Dance though, because water types resist fire moves, so they're not powering up a weakness. But you know who is powering up a weakness? Jasmine. She runs Johto Steel Gym, and in Gold, Silver, and Crystal, her Steelix knows Sunny Day. So the fire moves she's already weak to get even stronger. Yeah, it weakens the water move Steelix is also weak to, but you probably weren't relying on a water type to beat this gym anyway. Her other two Pokemon are Magnemite, which both know the super effective move Thunderbolt, so her gym isn't exactly a safe space for water types anyway. In the remakes Heart Gold and Soul Silver, she was given the move Sandstorm instead of Sunny Day though. So you know, that's a step in the right direction, I guess. Actually, who am I kidding? That's a massive step in the right direction. Most of the time, if a Pokemon can learn a move by level up, and it's also available as a TM, you can just teach it the TM, instead of waiting for the right level. Electabuzz learns Thunderbolt via level up, but if you find the Thunderbolt TM before it hits the required level, you can use that machine as a shortcut of sorts. And that goes for most other moves you can teach with the various machines over the years. One exception is Dratini and Dragonair in Gens 1 and 2. Hyper Beam is available as a TM in those games, but these dragons get it by level up, and only by level up. They can't learn it via TM. Only their evolution, Dragonite, is compatible with the TM. For the first two generations, the Hyper Beam TM was only compatible with fully evolved Pokemon. But come on, man, I think you can make an exception for these guys. And they did! In Gen 3, Dragonite's pre-evolutions also got access to the TM. Now let's take a look at Pokemon eggs. They first appeared in Generation 2, and as you can probably imagine, Pokemon hatch from eggs at a very low level. At first, they hatched at level 5, which isn't too ridiculous, until you consider most games have weaker wild Pokemon. If you hatch a Pidgey in Generation 2, it'll be stronger than a wild Pidgey you find on Route 29, despite the wild one actually having to fend for itself out in the world. A literal infant would be stronger than that, despite having no battle experience whatsoever. Pokemon hatching at level 5 is actually why Little Cup is played at level 5 to this day. The format was introduced in Pokemon Stadium 2, and it was specifically made for Pokemon that just hatched from an egg. It hasn't appeared in many Pokemon games since then, but you can play unofficial Little Cup metagames on Pokemon Showdown, and those are played at level 5 as well. And that's despite the change to how hatching works in Gen 4. Now Pokemon hatch at level 1, the lowest possible. So maybe that just came out of an egg is weaker than any wild Pokemon, as you might expect. Well, that'll do it for this video. Subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and leave a comment if there's something you want to see me talk about. I'll see you all next time. Good night, fellas. Sleep well.